Talking Music with Big Andy. Hello, welcome to another episode of Talking Music with Big Andy, and I have with me Justin and Julie, who make up the band Summore. Hi, how you going?
Hi, we're doing really good.
Good. Now, you are based in Columbus, Ohio, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Now, I don't like genres. I tell you that straight from the start. I find putting people in little boxes is far too restrictive. But when I was looking you guys up, when I was looking into your thing, I saw you as being listed as in one place it was an alternative electronic duo, a dark synth pop duo, and a dark electro pop duo. Now, firstly, is there any real difference to any of that between any of those? And secondly, what would you say you play?
I think all of those things are correct. I think we also play with a little bit of dark wave and a little bit of a lot of the darker subgenres and things like that. Um, I, it's really hard to pin down because just like any other artist, we have so many influences that if we were to, I don't know, we joke a lot of times about like we don't even know, and so we just do things right.
Yeah, I mean, I as I say, I'm not really a big fan of genres as far as I'm concerned. As it's music is music. It's if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. It's as simple as that. And I've got to say, I really do like what you do. I think it's. I mean, I've been a big fan of electronic music of different types for a long time, and it's really nice to hear hear somebody coming up new doing this sort of stuff, because it's sometimes seen as being something that's a little bit it's either really heavy dancey stuff, or the sort of more melodic stuff like you guys do is seen as being a bit old style. So it's nice to see people doing that sort of thing, and bringing it sort of like up to date. So you brought your first album out, for Surfaces. When did that actually come out?
It officially came out in March of 2021.
Okay.
So that we had started working on that before the pandemic, and then when the pandemic hit, we were just like, well, we don't know what's going to happen, so we might as well just put the music out and see what happens, and with that, we were doing like we were really big into the Twitch live streams, like watching those, and you know one of our favorites at the time was Luna Negra, and they did like a bunch of bands. It was like an online festival of bands, playing, and they asked us to do a live stream with them, and then so um, we released on the day of the live stream because it just felt right. So
Yeah, that makes sense. So when did you actually start playing like together and doing what you're doing now?
You might have a better.
We've been making music for a long time, but it was just for ourselves, and we just kind of did it just to get really wacky and make, anything we felt like we wanted to make. And it wasn't until the deal was like, unless we are able to play a show, we're not gonna try to put this out. But then we figured out the equipment part of it, and we figured out how it could be possible. And so then that's when we were like, okay, now we're okay really putting this out there. That way we could. I'm sorry. What were we talking about? I'm so
It's just
sorry. I have a brain injury.
no, it's fine. It's fine. No, I was just
train of thought.
I was just interested in when and how you started. That was all.
Well, so I guess the best way to start is, so we've been making music for over a decade together, but we hadn't ever released anything. And then with Surfaces, we started sort of with a clean slate. And I never considered myself a musician because I started with composition first. Before I ever learned to play instruments for live, it was all programming.
Yeah.
So when Surfaces came around, it was mostly just a map of that, and then we would come together and figure out, lyrics and stuff like that, to how the record was going to go.
Okay.
But that's
really cool to like have some songs that had their roots in that time that was so long ago, and we were able to kind of modify them enough to where they were able to work on an album as like a cohesive piece.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool, because even now when we hear some of the songs, we remember like actually how old they are. And then like having that sense of newness to them just kind of reinvigorates your passion and your excitement for the song. So it's like an evolution,
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, most music goes through that kind of thing, that you start off with one thing and you kind of evolves into what you end up with finally. So what were your influences when you first started? What sort of bands have you been into, and what sort of bands influenced the music you play now?
I mean, for me, I could tell you right away, my biggest influences were like Nine Inch Nails, The Knife, Fever Ray, Tool, which you may not hear in it, but it's definitely a part of it. That's pretty much like my biggest influences.
Okay.
A little bit of Pink Floyd here.
For me, those are in there, but I also enjoy a lot of different types of music. So I guess when you're trying to write, you don't really think about it so much. You just think, oh, this sounds cool. But somehow in your subconscious, that sound is coming from somewhere, that you've kind
Yeah.
of heard it before and you liked it. So Depeche Mode and a lot of bands in the 80s, and of course, our older industrial predecessors. I like a lot of different music. So
Yeah, you could dive in. This could be a whole thing on its own, really. I mean, it could be like, oh, hey, Throbbing Gristle and all these,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
the new
Yeah.
new stuff, the more contemporary, like Boy Harsher and things like that really stand out to
I
us.
try to allow everything to, and probably a lot of people say this. I mean, probably a lot of musicians say the same thing, which is like, you let everybody kind of inspire you, and you don't just like shut off that, wall just because it's not something you do or you like.
Yeah.
And I like to make things I want to hear, not necessarily exactly what I've heard before. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That does make sense. I got to say, I was listening to some of your stuff on watching some of your videos on YouTube. There's some really good. I really like some of the songs, but some of the videos as well. I like. I always kind of like try to write a list of some of the tracks that really kind of grabbed me. Not that I don't like the others, but these are the ones that really kind of stood out for me. Wish was one of them. Really like that. Magic Pill. I like. I absolutely love Disorder. I think that's a fantastic song. It's really good. And Dust, I really like as well. Where do your ideas come from as far as lyrically is concerned? I mean, do you write the lyrics between you, or is it one of you writes the lyrics, or and where do those ideas for those songs come from?
The ideas at first have to come from the music. So it'll usually have a mood that I'm feeling, or even there's just sometimes when like certain lyrics will work their way in, even if it's kind of juxtaposed with the song.
Yeah.
But I couldn't write as well as I do without Justin. He kind of will be like, oh, let's figure out a new way to say this, or we kind of have a back and forth about some of the lyrics, for sure. And
yeah, it's definitely a collaboration. The music is a collaboration. We work on this everything together. The whole process is together. So
But yeah, I'll usually go into I try to look at things I find negative about other people, and I will instead become that person that does the negative things, to kind of point the mirror back at myself. So that's kind of where a lot of it comes from. A lot of it are messages to myself, reminders about life in general.
Right.
And that's kind of the themes that are present in a lot of those tracks.
Okay. And you got you released your latest one, which is New Pain. And you've got the album, is that called New Pain as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that out yet, or is that due to be released?
Yeah, that was just released Sunday.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, where is there anything different about that to the first album? I mean, have you evolved your sound any more, do you think?
I think it's darker and dancier and a little bit. I think
I think it's a lot more emotional too.
a lot more emotional, and I feel like it's more us than anything could be right now.
Right.
I mean, it's obviously for us, it's the next obvious step in our evolution, you know.
Yeah.
But for other people, it may be like totally different or sound like everybody else. I don't know. But I don't know what everybody else gets. But for for us, it's who we are right now, and that's I think that's more representative of us than Surfaces, even. I mean, because so much has happened, the subject matter, the reason for creating the record, like these multiple things like that came about.
Yeah. Yeah. So, during the whole lockdown thing, were you able to have you been able to play live your stuff that much, or have you did the whole shutdown thing, did it kind of stop you being able to get out there and actually perform the music and get it out to people?
It was kind of both in a weird way, because it forged us being like not able to go anywhere and not able to play. We forged these amazing friendships with people all across the United States that had their hands in the scene. And I'm sorry.
Well, from that point, lockdown, once it was over, we had way more opportunities to actually perform. So, but during that time, we didn't. And once it was lifted, and mask mandates were a thing, and numbers of people were limited. I mean, we definitely did everything the safe way. Once those restrictions started to be lifted, and it was more gradual. So, so we did kind of test the waters and see what would happen, and then after everything's felt a lot safer, we went and booked a tour in 22. So we did a full tour down through the Southwest of the United States, and
Cool.
Yeah. We went clear to California in a busted old RV. It was like a 1989, and we had everything like checked out before, and then like after day one, the dash AC went, and then in the middle of the desert, when it was 120 degrees, we were like an easy bake oven going down the road, because the other, I think it was like a converter or something, stopped allowing us to run the other AC. So we did it rough. It was it was really rough.
it was like 120 degrees in the shade.
Yeah.
And even with the windows all open in the RV, it was just hot air blowing.
Yeah. It felt so bad, because one of our best friends, like, he flew to like Arizona to meet up with us like part of the way during the tour. And like the night he got there, everything was fine with the RV. And then that morning, it was done. It was toast. And so the rest of the tour and all the way back home to Ohio, they were enduring this horrible heat. And he had actually like taken off work for that. And I felt like, oh my gosh, that's the worst. Hey, can we treat you to a leg on the tour? Then next thing you know, it's just the worst leg. And
See,
then they got COVID.
oh no,
COVID right after that. So it was just
wow.
really
So it's like I don't know, because some of the greatest tours in the world happened in the 60s and 70s when you didn't have the AC on the buses. It was just
how they did it. I don't know how.
Maybe the temperatures weren't as high then. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I have to believe.
maybe.
I don't know how we didn't almost make it. I was wrapped in wet towels just trying to, I mean, it was a bad idea to go during the summer in a
But I
less
mean,
reliable vehicle.
the good thing is if you can survive that and come out the other side laughing, then you're going to be able to get on with anything.
Oh yeah.
So, what now as far as touring goes? Are you going to be doing more tours, or are you playing locally for a while, or what sort of thing are you looking to do?
The plan is to do a tour definitely in 2024. We're kind of feeling things out for the rest of the year, and we'll mostly do something local for the rest of the year, and then really plan to have something solid as far as a tour for next year. And then depending on the demand and where we're asked to play, that's sort of it really comes down to where people really want us to go.
Yeah. Can I ask? I mean, we've got a thing here in the UK. There are a lot of small venues that are finding it very difficult nowadays with the cost of living, the cost of fuel, and all that kind of thing, and electricity. They're finding it very difficult to keep going, and there have been a number of them closing down. I just wondered, in the States, are there still lots of like the medium-sized venues or that sort of thing where you can go to play? Because we've had a lot closing down here, and we just it's difficult to tell how it's going anywhere else, really.
Well, there's a fair amount closed down because of COVID. Have come back just as strong as they were before, and in some cases stronger than they were before.
We have some, in addition to that, we have some like record stores that let bands come play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are good small to medium sized venues in Columbus. There's a lot. Now outside of there's probably been pockets in different places where that's been hit worse. But because everything is so expansive in the US, it's hard to tell. I'm sure there's pockets experiencing that for sure.
Right.
Unfortunate.
But I mean, do you find it easy to find venues to play your sort of music? Because that's the other thing, is that there are a number of venues that will play or will only have certain types of bands on, because they know that locally they are the sort of bands that bring the people in. So do you have any problem with finding venues to play with your type of music?
It is difficult to, I don't want to say super difficult to find places. It's more about finding other acts that are similar so that the show is like different enough, but not like just cookie cutter kind of.
I agree.
show.
That's definitely the more challenging part. It's either a lot of people are, spread out, not touring, those sorts of things, or, in that specific area, maybe they're there's mostly rock bands, and, maybe we don't fit entirely with that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we've played with, some metal bands, and the crossover on that has been actually surprisingly really interesting and fun. So, you know, it's pretty interesting to look at it from that perspective. But yeah, it sometimes is hard to just find people who are, you know, the best suited for the show.
Yeah. No, I get
Because there's a lot of events in Columbus, monthly events for dark dance, for church,
Yeah, it's
goth
like,
events, goth nights, things like that. And then there's one called like Vortex, and they have Cell 5. So there's a healthy dose of events going on every month. And so if you play at one of those places, you're gonna do pretty well in finding the right people and finding the right other acts to be with. I can't remember what I was saying. I'm so
that's
sorry.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. So
I'm probably rambling, so.
do you have a big plan for the future? I mean, some bands I've talked to have this kind of like, you know, thing where in like 5-10 years time they want to be playing big festivals and sort of like major gigs and all that kind of thing, and getting like, you know, mainstream record deals and all that kind of thing. Other bands I've talked to are saying they've taken it, you know, 1 year at a time, see where they are by the end of the year, and then plan for that, or plan for the next year after that. So how do you guys, do you have a big plan, or do you just take it as it goes?
I think we take it as it goes. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
So like, really, it's about providing ourselves with opportunities that make us feel fulfilled, you know, and that's the most important thing to us, is like, are we enjoying it? You know, and of course it would be nice to, you know, have all the luxurious things that go along with that sort of stuff, but it's not even necessary. It's just like, can we be comfortable? You know,
Yeah.
can we be happy with what we're doing? And that's really what matters. And
Learning how to be content
Yeah.
where you are, and also still like having your mind open for whatever future stuff comes, and like still trying to take steps, but just not trying to like, I guess, beat yourself up because you're not somewhere else. Or, you know, a lot of people get upset if they're not, you know.
it's good to goal set, but it can also create regret or resentment later in life if you feel that you haven't achieved those things that you thought
Yeah.
that you should have. And it's just instead, yeah, maybe set goals, but really just be happy with whatever the result is. And that's sort of where we're at.
Yeah, no, that sounds really cool.
Journey, yeah, the whole cliche journey, be happy about the journey and not the destination. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah. I understand that. That sounds good. I've got to ask, because of where I am, is there any chance of us seeing you coming over to the Europe and coming to the UK?
I would love that.
Yeah, I think that's I think uh, on a positive timeline, that's an inevitable eventuality.
But I know
So-
that there is quite a big scene in Europe, especially in Eastern Europe, for kind of like industrial and electro dance stuff and that kind of thing, and that there's a really big following for it there. So I think your stuff would go down really well in Europe.
Oh, it would be a dream. That would
Yeah.
be a dream. That is a dream to do that one day.
Yeah, and it really just comes down to, booking agents, really
Mhm.
being able to have that sort of thing sorted out. And, if there's enough demand and promotion for us to head out that way, then we definitely will.
No, that'd be great. I'd really like to come and see you guys live, because it's the thing I like about your stuff and about electronic music in general is the type of that you play is the atmospheric feel of it. It's the kind of it kind of draws you in, so you feel that you're actually part of the music, and I really like that. Your stuff really does that well. It's got that kind of that great atmosphere to it that you can kind of just sort of sink into. So I really like that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for talking to me. It's been great talking to you. I will put, as I always do, links up and things to your social media and your YouTube channels and websites and things like that, so people can see what you're doing and experience your music and all that kind of stuff. To anybody watching out there, please check out Summore. As I say, I will put the links up. They're definitely worth looking at and definitely worth a listen to. Thank you very much, guys. It's been great talking to you.
Been great talk to you.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you very much. Okay, so everybody out there, I'll see you later. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Bye.
Bye.